In a stunning development that has millions of Americans buzzing, Congress has officially approved a new round of direct payments set to hit bank accounts in the coming days, this time to the tune of $2,800 for SSI, SSDI, and VA beneficiaries, as well as seniors living on fixed incomes. The decision, which many are calling the most significant financial relief package targeted directly at vulnerable groups in recent memory, is already sparking intense debate, excitement, and questions. What does this mean for seniors struggling to stretch their Social Security checks? How will veterans who have been waiting for stronger support finally feel some relief? And perhaps most importantly, when will the money actually show up in bank accounts? This massive payout is being touted as a direct response to the skyrocketing cost of living, with lawmakers insisting that America's elderly and disabled deserve a boost that reflects today's economic realities. For months, there have been rumors, speculation, and even disappointment as smaller relief measures failed to pass. But now, with bipartisan support finally secured, the $2,800 deposits are not just wishful thinking, they are a reality. According to congressional insiders, the deal came together in a whirlwind of negotiations, with both parties acknowledging the undeniable financial pressure weighing on seniors and disability recipients. While some lawmakers initially pushed for a one-time $1,400 boost, advocates argued that this amount simply wouldn't scratch the surface in covering rising rent, medical expenses, and everyday necessities. In the end, the compromise more than doubled the proposed figure, with Congress settling on $2,800 as a meaningful, impactful sum that could genuinely help struggling households keep their heads above water. The payments are set to roll out via direct deposit, ensuring the fastest delivery possible for millions who can't afford to wait. Paper checks and prepaid debit cards are also expected for those who don't use direct deposit, though these may take slightly longer to arrive. The government has already announced that the first wave of deposits could begin appearing as soon as this week, sparking a wave of anticipation as Americans rush to check their accounts. What makes this move particularly groundbreaking is not just the amount, but the fact that it specifically targets SSI Supplemental Security Income, SSDI Social Security Disability Insurance, and VA Veterans Affairs beneficiaries, along with seniors who often feel overlooked in broader stimulus packages. Unlike past relief efforts that focused on broader swaths of the population, this package zeroes in on groups who have faced the harshest squeeze from inflation and stagnant benefits. Many seniors have seen their purchasing power slashed as groceries, utilities, and prescription costs soar, while disabled Americans and veterans often face additional out-of-pocket expenses that are rarely accounted for in standard cost of living adjustments. For them, this isn't just another check, it's a lifeline. Advocacy groups are celebrating the decision, calling it long overdue, while financial experts warn that demand for essential goods may spike as millions suddenly have more cash on hand. The political implications are just as fascinating as the economic ones. With an election year looming, both parties are eager to be seen as champions of everyday Americans, and this rare moment of bipartisanship suggests that leaders are fully aware of how critical seniors and veterans are as a voting bloc. Some critics argue that the move is more about securing votes than securing stability, but supporters counter that motives aside, the result is the same: real money in the hands of those who need it most. Already, headlines are splashed with stories of seniors planning to use the $2,800 to cover overdue bills, stock up on groceries, or finally pay for medical treatments they've been putting off. Social media is ablaze with excitement, with hashtags like #SSStimulus, #SSDI, and #VADeposit trending as Americans share their plans, hopes, and relief at what feels like long-awaited recognition from Washington. But what does this mean for the broader economy? Economists are split. On one hand, $2,800 is enough to make a real difference in the lives of individuals, but not so massive that it risks triggering runaway inflation. On the other hand, skeptics caution that sudden infusions of cash, especially to millions at once, could temporarily push prices higher in certain sectors like groceries and medicine, where demand is already outpacing supply. Still, Most agree that this targeted relief is more efficient than blanket stimulus checks, since it directs resources exactly where they are needed most. Seniors, disabled Americans, and veterans are among the least likely to splurge and the most likely to use the funds responsibly for essentials, meaning the money will circulate in ways that provide stability rather than chaos. For lawmakers, this strategy could be the blueprint for future aid packages, smaller in scope but more precisely targeted, providing maximum impact without maximum risk. The bottom line? The $2,800 direct deposits are not just financial assistance, they're a symbol of acknowledgement. For too long, many in these groups have felt invisible, their struggles brushed aside in the rush of political bickering. Now, with money about to land in their accounts, they're not only getting the help they desperately need, but also a powerful message. You matter, you're seen, and your sacrifices are not forgotten. As the first payments begin hitting banks, the question shifts from "will it happen?" to "what's next?" Could this signal a new era of recurring support for vulnerable groups, or is it a one-time lifeline designed to grab headlines and votes? Either way, the relief is real, and for millions of Americans living on the edge, that's all that matters right now. In the aftermath of the stunning announcement that Congress has approved $2,800 direct deposits for SSI, SSDI, VA beneficiaries, and seniors, the nation is bracing for what many are calling a historic moment in social and economic policy. As the money begins to roll out, the buzz surrounding these payments isn't just about the financial relief itself, but the ripple effects it may have across the country. Seniors who've spent years carefully rationing every dollar are suddenly given a cushion that allows them to breathe easier. Veterans who felt neglected by past administrations are finally receiving what they see as recognition for their sacrifices. And disabled Americans, who often juggle medical costs, mobility challenges, and inadequate benefits, are seeing a deposit that could mean the difference between choosing medication or food, and now they might not have to choose. The stories are pouring in already. A grandmother in Ohio planning to use the money to replace her failing refrigerator. A disabled veteran in Texas finally booking long-delayed medical treatment. And countless others who are simply relieved they can pay bills without sacrificing meals. It's these deeply personal, human stories that give the $2,800 checks power beyond their dollar amount. They represent dignity, security, and long overdue relief. But alongside the celebration comes an undercurrent of urgency and even skepticism. Financial planners are warning beneficiaries to be cautious with how they use the funds, stressing that while $2,800 is a significant windfall, it's not a permanent solution. The money can cover emergencies, pay down debt, or buy essentials, but it won't erase the ongoing challenges of living on fixed incomes in an economy where costs seem to climb endlessly. For many, the payments feel like a band-aid on a much larger wound. The inadequacy of Social Security benefits and VA support in the face of modern expenses. Advocates are already seizing the moment, urging lawmakers not to stop here. If Congress can agree to this payout now, why not make similar relief permanent through expanded monthly benefits, automatic cost of living adjustments that truly reflect inflation, or dedicated support programs for veterans and the disabled? Some are framing this as a test case. If $2,800 works now, perhaps recurring aid is the next logical step. The question is whether political will and the money will hold up once the headlines fade. On Capitol Hill, the passage of this package is sparking conversations about what comes next. Lawmakers who fought hardest for the measure are already hinting that this is just the beginning, suggesting that future relief packages could include even larger deposits, expanded eligibility, or recurring payments. Others, however, are urging caution, pointing to the national debt and potential inflation risks. Still, it's hard to ignore the overwhelming popularity of the move, especially among voting blocs that could sway upcoming elections. Both parties are keenly aware that seniors and veterans are some of the most consistent and influential voters in America. By delivering direct, tangible relief, politicians are hoping to prove they can cut through partisan bickering and actually get things done. Whether that proves true in the long run remains to be seen, but for now, the optics are clear. Washington is finally listening to groups that have too often been pushed aside. Meanwhile, the logistics of the rollout are becoming a central focus. The Treasury Department has announced that most direct deposits will be processed quickly, with many recipients seeing funds within days. However, as with past stimulus efforts, there may be delays for those receiving checks or prepaid debit cards, and officials are urging patience while promising that no eligible recipient will be left behind. Social media is flooded with people sharing their bank updates, screenshots, and emotional posts about how the money is changing their lives. Hashtags are trending not just in the United States, but globally, as other countries take notice of how America is choosing to prioritize its most vulnerable. Some international observers are even suggesting that this move could inspire similar relief efforts abroad, as governments around the world grapple with aging populations and rising costs of care. Of course, not everyone is convinced this is a flawless solution. Critics are already raising alarms about fraud risks, arguing that a sudden influx of cash could make seniors and disabled Americans targets for scams. Consumer protection groups are warning beneficiaries to be vigilant, reminding them that the government will never call or email asking for personal information to release funds. Others worry about long-term economic consequences, though most experts agree the targeted nature of these payments mitigates broader inflationary concerns. Still, the debate rages on cable news, talk radio, and online forums, with heated arguments about whether $2,800 is too much, too little, or just right. Yet amidst the chatter, one thing is undeniable. For the millions of Americans who will wake up to find $2,800 in their accounts, the relief is immediate, tangible, and life-changing. The story of the $2,800 deposits is more than a financial headline. It's a cultural moment. It's a reminder that in times of uncertainty, government can act decisively to provide real, direct support. It's proof that advocacy matters, as countless groups who fought tirelessly for seniors, veterans, and the disabled are finally seeing their efforts bear fruit. And it's a signal that perhaps, just perhaps, this is the beginning of a new era in American policy, one where vulnerable citizens are not afterthoughts, but priorities. Whether this is a one-time windfall or the start of something larger will depend on the choices made in the months ahead. But for now, the deposits are landing, the accounts are growing, and the relief is real. For millions of Americans who have waited too long to feel seen and supported, this isn't just about money, it's about hope. And hope, backed by $2,800, is hitting banks today.